Hello, I'm Mike Bogart, and I'm joined today by Vanessa Cadavillo and Matthew von Nida, DePaul alumni and both former presidents of the Student Government Association. During their tenures at DePaul, the affinity campaign On Thursdays We Wear Blue was born, encouraging students, faculty, and all members of the DePaul community to wear DePaul blue on Thursdays as a point of pride. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having us.
So let's get into it. Where did the idea for On Thursdays We Wear Blue come from? And what were you guys inspired by?
Matthew, I'll let you kick it off. Yeah, I think so. We in student government since my freshman year had kind of a campus affinity mission. Obviously, DePaul's such a commuter school, and we are known for having students who are part-time and working. We have a plethora of grad students, and everyone's kind of got their own lives. And one of the goals that we had, specifically my sophomore year when I was the executive vice president for operations, was to focus more on campus affinity, connecting our students, regardless of what their other lives look like, around our Blue Demon identity. So it was actually just based with that general umbrella mission, finding an opportunity to kind of unite us around something really simple and catchy. And it really quickly evolved from conversations with various departments and students, with student affairs, with operations, and really just starting during basketball season. On Thursdays, we started a discount at the on-campus bookstore in Lincoln Park. So students could get 15% off on any Blue Demon gear on Thursdays during basketball season. And we started that program. It was really popular, and students were buying more things those days and wearing that gear around that. Not just students involved with athletics, but students were excited just to have some discounts there. And one of our fellow student government members just thought of the name On Thursdays We Wear Blue just as a kind of catchy phrase to go along with it, to not only have people buying stuff, but also encouraging us all to start wearing blue on Thursdays. We also, of course, don't have as many students in class on Fridays. So Thursdays are sometimes our Fridays as students. So
right. And Vanessa, what role did you kind of play in all that?
Yeah, so when Matthew was the executive vice president for operations, I was the senator for first year students. And honestly, I vividly remember Matthew asking us, what are some traditions that you can think of that DePaul has? And obviously, as a new student, I was just fresh out of orientation, fresh out of the immersion week. And I started thinking to myself, what traditions do we have aside from sitting in the hands of the Father Egan statue? And I think this is where this conversation came to be, is what opportunities can we look at? What collaborations can we make with the rest of the university to highlight some of the traditions that we probably already do officially or unofficially around the campus, and what new ones we can birth with the university. So that was the starting conversation from what I remember.
Yeah, I have two follow-up questions. First, of course, have you sat in Father Egan's hands?
Yes, more times than I can count, and it's always easier getting up, much harder getting down.
That's pretty high up there. Yeah, that's a
I
long way
didn't do
down.
that one. Definitely didn't do that one.
I've never done that either. That does not sound that fun to me.
I was more of like the Devil Dogs tradition person instead of getting in Father Egan's statue.
Okay, what's the Devil Dogs tradition?
Oh my gosh, I'm hoping Devil Dogs is still open, but I don't know if they have closed down.
There's definitely one by the Loop campus. I don't know if there's still one in Lincoln Park or not.
Oh, that's incredibly sad. Well, the Devil Dogs tradition is really just like late night food that's really close to campus, and it's like hot dogs, obviously, and cheese fries and all of the worst things for your body, but really great after
exactly what
a late night, especially on Thursdays.
For sure. So, I mean, speaking as an employee, On Thursdays We Wear Blue is still definitely around.
That's amazing.
When were you guys doing this? When were you students?
So this, I guess, was started, but not really like bigger until my junior year. So it would have been like 2013, 14.
Okay.
I graduated in 15, and it definitely was like at its height for my time at DePaul, starting in my like 14, 15 senior year of college.
Got it. Yeah. I
Oh
graduated
my gosh,
in
which seems like
2010,
it's been a
so
while. So yeah,
I don't want to do the math there. I don't want to do it.
it creeps up on you in
yeah,
such a not fun way.
yeah.
Um,
And I think
so
what's interesting about it too is that there was this creation of it, right? There's the 2013 to 2015, where it was just like the starting phases of this movement and tradition at DePaul. But then it even transformed in the years that SGA alumni like Matthew and those who preceded the SGA presidency and mine continued. And now even seeing it tie together alumni, students, faculty, and staff, seeing the hashtag, I think at one point it was Blue Thursdays and then changed to OTWWB. And, I was scrolling through Twitter actually just to take a look at how much it's grown. And I'm seeing people who go on vacations, bringing their gear with them and reposting it on Thursdays, or, seeing professors post with their classes. So it's been really exciting. And I guess I don't even think we knew how much it could grow during that time.
Yeah, it's super funny, even like years after having graduated, because this was really focused on DePaul's campus and seeing others wearing blue. But like Vanessa and I happen to work together now, and every once in a while we'll like send pictures of us wearing our blue on a Thursday and just say OTWWB. So it's funny years later that as alum that this is something also connecting us with our DePaul affinity.
Yeah, it lives on. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, like, what were your original goals for it, and like, what do you make of what's happened?
Oh man, well, if you boil it down, really, DePaul Affinity is not just community at college and during your college years. As a Vincentian University, we're mission-based and service-based, and we're seen around the city doing community service work, but also with Vincentian Service Day doing service work around the country. And like the grander mission here is having this affinity back to our university, and our university days is a reminder of like this identity that we took on when we started at DePaul and continue on after we graduate from DePaul. And so our affinity helps with like our alumni network to help recruit people to continue that community service work on Vincentian Heritage Day, or if you have the resources to help sponsor or support scholarships for students to continue expanding that mission of DePaul. All of those things tie back into our connection with our university and with our mission during our time at the school. If you're working for the university, or if you just went there for 4 years or a couple of years, you still have that tie back.
Absolutely. And I think it was a really interesting way of connecting our commuter students and our non-commuter students who are living on campus, our adult students who are coming back for the SNL program or were in the graduate programs. This tradition of wearing blue is probably one of the easiest things you can do, but it's easily, you're able to spot alumni easily. You can see their blue at work when they're going to the office. I saw interns when I was a student coming from their internship or job experience and then going straight to class, and they were still sporting their blue. And I think DePaul takes such a huge pride in being so visible and present in the city. And this is one way of being able to tell a DePaul student apart from all the rest of the students that go to school in Chicago.
Yeah, it really makes you feel connected when you're out in the city, and you can't not see DePaul stuff. You see it every time.
But also like in other cities, like I live in New York City now, and it's not like I see a ton of people wearing blue on Thursdays in New York City, but you every once in a while you see that Blue Demon or DePaul gear, and you're always like, hey, to like in a city of millions of people. And Vanessa and I both lived in DC. She's still there, and like it's definitely a nice thing for complete strangers just to spot each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to dig into your experience with the Student Government Association a little bit. So you're both past presidents, and I wondered how that experience helped prepare you for the positions you hold now.
Matthew, do you want to start?
I knew I was almost gonna point to you to answer the question first. I mean, I loved that experience. It's one of the best things I've done in my life. And to this day, I still feel that way. I got to talk to so many students, become friends with so many different people that I wouldn't have necessarily interacted with that are involved in all reaches of university life, from the Greek life to community service organizations, even the a cappella groups. Got to work with all of them, and bringing everybody together for conversations around campus affinity, but also sustainability, issues of financial aid and how do I pay for school, really difficult issues around like sexual assault and harassment. We really had to play this role where we were a voice for students. And at my time, when Vanessa and I were there, it was about 25,000 students. I don't know what it is now, but there are a lot of issues that people college age have to deal with to go to university. And at DePaul in particular, a lot of first time college students. And, I learned a lot about things that I hadn't experienced or didn't have to think about. I learned a lot about myself and different challenges, and how to bring those issues, not just here's what the problem is, to administration and to a lot of people around the city, but also to problem solve and brainstorm and think, how are we going to innovatively tackle these issues? Climate change, okay, our students are worried about climate change. What are you going to do about it? Administration is one thing, but climate change is something our students are worried about. Here's what us as students think we could be doing: creating a sustainability fund, putting wind turbines on campus to create some of our electricity more sustainably. Being able to do so many different things in so many different areas really prepared me to, kind of tackle any problem that's come my way since I've graduated.
I agree completely with Matthew. I think in just a general sense, it allowed me to learn about how important it is to collaborate with one another. Obviously that has changed. I remember my senior year when when On Thursdays We Wear Blue was just starting to really gain attention. We wanted to build off of that momentum that happened the years prior. And I think one of the ways that my vice president, Rick Pop, and I first brainstormed as how to get folks involved was do Blue Demon Welcome Week. We hosted On Thursdays We Wear Blue tie-dye event and collaborated with all of these student organizations, from residential ed to DePaul Activities Board. I think we even worked with Chartwells. The Chartwells employees were given a shirt to wear every Thursday. And there were so many facets to the university that I think one would not normally interact with. And we were very lucky to have the opportunity and platform to reach out to those different divisions at the university with different people. I think we're probably, Student Government Association is one of the few groups that can say that they really have strong relationships outside of professional with administration. I feel like we still talk to the former president, Father Holtschneider, these days. And so that has translated so well into our professional lives, because, I can imagine now with a pandemic, it being harder to put yourself out there, being hard to connect with people and find a bond. And so I think our experience at student government has allowed us to think critically about those issues that Matthew outlined, but it also helped us to just relate and get to know people. And I think sometimes it can come really easy, but especially now, I find it really hard to connect with folks after being quarantined for about 1.5 years, 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Vanessa, also, I think a really big lesson for me is when I became student government president, I felt a lot of pressure to make decisions and give direction for everything. And something I learned quickly, because Vanessa and I have worked together since she got to DePaul, was you don't have to agree with all of your team all the time. And in fact, it was really helpful for us to have conversations about different student ideas, even if they were debates or combative in ways that there were 10 different ideas of how we should tackle this, or 10 ideas on what the actual problem is. And it definitely prepared me to think about how to work with a team in a different way. And also that disagreements are a really powerful and positive thing for a team dynamic. And ultimately you'll get to here's where we're going to go. A decision has to be made, but that team dynamic just with your own like closest teammates, I guess, for an organization, like it has been at top of my mind as I continue in my career.
Yeah. And building off of that, while sometimes those conversations, it might not go in the direction you think it's going to go, I think you come out of it with more ideas. And I mean, even now, I feel like when I think back to our student government meetings, our general body meetings, while we did talk about some serious topics, a lot of brand new ideas came from there. So I think we bring that mindset now into work, where the sky is the limit. Let's think of a practical way to get there. But I don't feel like my imagination or our possibilities are in this box. It feels pretty endless, and I do take that to student government's encouragement.
I love that. It's so true.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds like you guys got so much out of that. That was sounds like it was a
Definitely.
really formative experience. Yeah,
it really was. There were not so easy moments, but I have a really great impression of all of that time with student government.
I did, as that kind of leads to my final question, which is simply just like, what is your favorite memory of DePaul? What do you hold on to and like kind of cherish the most?
That's so tricky. It's so hard to pick just one. I think at the end of the day, my favorite memories have tied back to student government. I remember running for the first time. Actually, I remember someone telling me I should run for student government, and I immediately shrugged it off for some reason. And I was like, no, I don't know if that's something for me. And then, winning that first election and joining the group and meeting Matthew, who's become my best friend, whether it's work related or personal. Matthew is easily my first call. And I don't know, I think collectively to see the power and how our, each year, the vice president, president, and cabinet would create initiatives. Each year we saw how those initiatives were followed through. And now, we look back, we sometimes we even text with old student government friends and reminisce on all of the things that we were able to accomplish or not accomplish, and fun moments and very serious moments we definitely don't want to relive. Whether it was the lobbying for the MAP grant or going to the Blue Demon Day game, talking to student organizations about what their concerns, what they would like to see. I don't know. It's just been, I have to say, everything really does tie back to DePaul. Blue Demon Week, for instance, thinking about, I don't even know why these are popping in my head, but thinking about the signage we would have going up and down Sheffield, like all of this just reminds me of how special our time was at DePaul and student government. And I just can't pick one. And I'm just glad that I have folks like Matthew to share it with and continue making those memories with.
Yeah, and I could just repeat everything Vanessa has said. Honestly, I mean, there's nothing that will compare to my friendships that I gained through student government, but also just through my experience at DePaul. And they're a lot of the people I still stay in touch with, but even more than that, people I don't necessarily stay in touch with, but see what they're doing after their time at DePaul is so encouraging, motivating, and inspiring. And it was people like our friend Blair Janis, who created and started Demon-thon, and seeing them raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for kids that are going through such a tough time, paying for their hospital bills, their lives, to continuing that work after they graduate is just such a beautiful thing to see have transformed over the last decade of our lives. And like Vanessa said, there's a lot of those fun moments that we just went to Blue Demon Day basketball games or doing community service with a bunch of our friends, or even just the classes being a little bit smaller, so feeling a little bit more intimate while we were there. I definitely can't choose one particular thing. In student government itself, I could tell you 15 moments that just kind of blew my mind. I like the wind turbines going up on campus. It was an idea I had when I was a sophomore, and seeing them up on campus before I graduated, having a new sustainable source of energy that filtered back into electricity powering our school, which is like mind blowing to see. Like students helped create these things and helped put them into action and executed this. It was like, I didn't think that would be something I would get to see during my university career. And it just really continues to be something I reflect on and think about in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, you both ended up making a big impact on DePaul. More than 7 years later, wearing blue on Thursdays is still a ritual for thousands of Blue Demons every Thursday. So with that, I think we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me today, Vanessa and Matthew. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.